Known for their ultra-low price of goods, but now Chinese e-commerce rivals Temu and Shein are about to get pricier. The sites say they plan to raise prices for U.S. customers starting next week, a ripple effect from President Trump's tariffs. Tonight, California is suing the Trump administration over those tariffs. The governor claiming our state will be hurt the most by the president's tariffs as the biggest state in the union. He announced the lawsuit while standing at an almond orchard in the San Joaquin Valley. Fox 11's Susan Harris here with one grower's story and the reason the governor believes the Supreme Court will rule with him and not with President Trump.
Well, you'll hear from him on that one for sure. All right, so the president says he can issue the wide-ranging tariffs thanks to the International Emergency Economy Powers Act. But the state attorney general basically said today, emergency? What emergency? And the governor claims California will be hurt the most by these tariffs. From agriculture to technology, Governor Gavin Newsom says every sector of the state's industries will be negatively impacted by what he calls the toxic tariffs. He stood in an almond orchard in the San Joaquin Valley to announce the lawsuit against the Trump administration.
No state is poised to lose more than the state of California.
Almond grower Christine Gemperly explained how the tariffs hurt her both selling her almonds and availability of supplies.
Will we even be able to afford it? Because seasons determine when crops are planted and harvested, we do not have the luxury to wait years for factories to be built or supply chains to grow.
Attorney General Rob Bonta announced his lawsuit challenges the president's use of the IEEPA, or International Emergency Economy Powers Act.
Creating bogus national emergencies that defy reason. He's even claimed there's an influx of illegal immigration and illicit drugs crossing over the Canadian border as the basis for imposing across-the-board tariffs on Canada. It is completely untrue.
He says the president called illegal immigration and fentanyl from Canada the emergency. Bonta says the number is less than 1%. The governor believes two previous Supreme Court cases based on the IEEPA are favorable for California.
On the issue of student loans under the Biden administration, on the Clean Power Plan under the Obama administration, if they are consistent, then this lawsuit is a lock in terms of what the Attorney General has laid out.
Well, the White House released a statement which chastised the governor for not focusing on California's rampant crime, homelessness, and unaffordability, and instead trying to block, quote, the president's historic effort to address trade deficits.
Has the Supreme Court ever said, no, Mr. President, it's not actually an emergency? I mean, because that seems like this is about, right?
I would say no.
Right.
So far, no. And as you pointed out earlier, the Supreme Court looks a little different than it did under Obama and Biden. So,
and he's pointing out that basically the Supreme Court, which is even conservative then, more conservative now, went after these Democratic presidents. So if you're going to be consistent, you should go after the Republican president.
Yes, but we'll see what happens because...
And different cases, though, different ideas.
Of course, yeah, of course. But it is very scary when you ask anybody who is a producer here in this state. They're very nervous about these tariffs. You know, I have a dress designer girlfriend. She was 145% tariff on the material that I make in China and the dresses that I make in China. How is that sustainable?
Meanwhile, Governor Newsom gets a national headline that he's fighting President Trump, which may or may not help him for the campaign, which he continues to insist he's not running.
And you continue to point that out.
Yes, we could point that out every single
time. All
right, Susan, thank you so much.